Hello and welcome to A Live After Reading. I'm your host, Tim Niederreiter, and with me today is a guest of the podcast that I'm assured is new, Charles Breakfield. Welcome to the podcast.
Tim, appreciate the time to be able to come chat with you.
Well, it's good to chat with you. For some reason, your name is familiar, but perhaps I've just seen your name around. Maybe the internet's a big place, but what have you been working on lately? I mean, what sort of stuff do you do?
We're always working on something. We finished up the Enigma book series, which was tech thrillers, capped it at 12, which spawned a new trilogy called the Enigma Airs as the subtitle, and we're working on. We just released the book 2 in that series, the Enigma Force, and the Audible just came out in the past 30 days. So
Nice.
we try to get the Audibles out with our favorite voice actor, Derek Scholes. That's one of those projects that it's just we're very compelled to be able to do it because his voice is so good and he's so much fun. But along with that, we've also done. We got invited to be a guest writer with a group called the Underground Authors, which is kind of a fun exercise. We're in season 3, and we have this mythical town in Texas, of course. I mean, duh. And it's a place where we all kind of congregate mentally, and we write cozy mysteries. And it's our tagline on that and that for the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicle series is that people are dying to get into the cemetery there.
Nice.
We've had 3 books in the offered in the each one for each year. Everybody gets a month, and they release a book, and we borrow characters back and forth, and we have a swell time, and it's been a good exercise, and it kind of gets us a little bit of a stretch to be able to get into that kind of a genre, from tech thrillers to cozy mysteries. So it's been kind of a fun exercise.
Yeah, that's cool. It sounds a little like was it Thieves World or some of those fantasy things there? They did some similar stuff.
Yeah, you see a lot of that in the romance arena, where what they do is they romance authors get together and say, okay, we're gonna everybody take a turn, and we'll come out with a book, and at whatever number they cap it at, but they use the same settings, some of the same people, and that's kind of where we got the idea. You've seen TV shows where they have or every week or every month or something like that, they have another mystery in that particular town, and so this is something along the same lines. Only we've got a wide variety of overachievers writing in this particular area, and we get a chance to be able to kind of task each other.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I really like the sound of an anthology series like that. I mean, it's like are they novel length, these monthly?
Novel length, and 50 to 70,000 words.
Okay, cool.
And and the good thing about them is that they're all standalone books. So
nice.
There's no continuation. There's no, all right, for the answer to this one, you have to go to no, that's not fair. We're not going to do that.
Right. So, and especially if your books are capping around 70,000 words, you can just give it another 10,000 words sometimes if you have to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I am assuming these are published independently then, mostly.
That is correct, yeah. But we all use there's some guideline rules. You use the headstone that says Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles, and then the Underground Authors, and then the rest of the book cover. It's up to you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's quite a bit of latitude there, and there's we don't have the literary police looking over your shoulder saying no, you can't use that character that way. So, so there's a lot of latitude, but usually what happens is that we'll get an email from one of the authors saying, hey, I want to use this character, and it's yours. Is that okay? I said, yeah, sure. Just don't kill him, because I got to use him now in the next book. Yeah. Now, that did happen early on. I will, fully transparent here. We were about halfway into the book, and we have used a character, and we I don't know what, maybe send a note off saying, hey, we're doing this stuff with this character. And oh, gee, I wish you wouldn't do that. They got whacked. So I went, okay,
I'm going to start over.
Yeah.
Back to the old drawing board.
Yeah. Go to plan B on this character. So
yeah. No, that's always that. It's funny. I've heard other authors. I mean, I mostly write fantasy, so a lot of my references are going to be fantasy related. Like Brandon Sanderson talk about what he would do in his how, because he's such a planner, he would plan out his series as if a character that dies in book 1 was going to be alive for the whole series, like that, and he would do both. And then it's like, okay, that's kind of strange. I mean, I don't outline that much. I don't really outline at all. But it does seem odd to me that you go to such an extent. I mean, because I don't know that he would. I mean, when you're working with other people, it makes sense. When you got a team, when you're a team of one, it's like, well, it's your book. Do what you feel is right. But I guess with Sanderson though, he said it himself. He's like almost a machine author. He's a robotic style writer, so he needs to follow the logic by logic instead of like intuition, I guess, maybe.
Okay.
So he creates the story logic that way. That's what I've heard anyway.
So is that the way you write?
No,
Tim?
Not at all. So the way I write is almost the exact opposite. So basically I discovery write almost everything. I often in the past I'll start writing the book and then I'll take a little break and figure out where I want the book to go. I'll write like the first chapter or two and then I'll just take a break. And even though my books are probably technically the same genre as someone like Sanderson, who's so big these days, I figure most people will know. Most people who listen to this podcast would know his name. But I really kind of resent having to write long books, and that's one thing. I mean, like I admire the idea of having to being able to write short ones, and I mostly have written short, like novella style books for my most recent series, or short novels to mid length things, like like your cozy mysteries or romance novel length books. But there is something about big fat books that I do enjoy. It's so challenging to write those at speed for me that I don't do it a lot. I'm in the middle of one right now and it's taking like 4 months to get a quarter of the way through it.
Okay. All right. Well, now, full transparency here. I typically write with my co-author, Roxanne Burkey, and I guess that we've done collaboration for so many years that it's sort of second nature.
Oh yeah.
But we're not a very structured team. What will happen is we'll take an idea, a tech angle, like cryptocurrency or, genetic reengineering, something like that. Is sort of the backdrop theme, and then spill in all the characters, and then okay, where's the bad guy, and trying to give it some structure. It's very very much of an outline to begin with, and then we take it and we use our patent pending technique of literary ping pong, where we bat chapters back and forth to get the polishing for the storyline and the characters.
Yeah, and
then sometimes when we'll get into a story. And we'll get this character talking to us saying, no, I'm not doing it that way. This is the way I need to go do it. And so we have that kind of adaptability in the way we write and the way we think to be able to incorporate those kind of aha. I woke up in the morning, I've got an idea. And for my co-writer, Rox Burkey, those are probably the 4 most terrifying words in my vocabulary.
She doesn't want to hear those, does she? I mean, or maybe she does. Maybe it's on some level, it's like it's terrifying, but they're good terrifying. I hope.
Let me get some cognac for my coffee, and then let's hear it. Okay, Charles.
So that's really interesting to hear, because I'm also quite different from you in that regard, because I don't like to collaborate. I mean, like I do almost the entire book, everything book related myself. Like I make the book cover. At least I have made a lot of my book covers. I do all the ads and all this. I basically don't let go of the book until it's running. And so far none of my books have started running on their own. So this is not exactly maybe I need to find a partner or somebody to help me out. But editors. I've worked with editors, I guess I should say. I haven't worked with a whole lot of other folks on my
we've got editors too. I mean, after she and I get finished batting it back and forth and polishing it so that it sounds like a single voice, and that's the benchmark. Okay, if it sounds like, oh, Charles did this one, she did that one, I'd like, no. If you can tell that, then we failed.
Right.
And whenever we turn over something to our first line editor, she'll always come in and say, "Who wrote this?" And as soon as I hear that, it's like, "Okay, good, we got exactly what we wanted." Yeah. Perfect.
And you don't want to. Go on.
Well, so we have a small community of people that we trust to be able to help, because we were like you. We were doing our covers, I want it to look like this, and it got too busy, and it just. It didn't say what the book was, so we actually stopped what we were doing, went back and reissued the books with a book design editor, or a cover design, and she said, "Okay, this tells me you're." I don't get it. And at one point, one of the books we handed to her, this is the title. The cover started coming back and went, "What is this?" She goes. This is what the book says to me, and this is the title. Now, she'll snip it and I'll send a synopsis to us. We actually changed the title of that book because it was wrong based on.
Oh yeah.
And I guess that's the advice that I would say, gives. Like, sometimes you get too close to your project. I mean, you've lived and breathed, and it's like, it's got to look like this is what it is in my mind. It's like, well, if nobody else sees what's in your mind from that cover, it's not going to sell.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I have this one book that was actually the first novel I published. It was a portal fantasy thing called now the current version is called Death's Door. I don't even want to say the original title, because even though it was the title I came up with, I hate it now, and it was so bad. It didn't describe the book at all. It didn't tell the story I wanted, and that book was I unpublished it like 4 or 5 years ago, and I just recently put it back up at the start of this year with a new title, new cover, new edits, everything. New beginning, because it was so confusing to people because of just various reasons. Anyway,
So we've stumbled like that too. So just don't feel like you're the Lone Ranger on this, because we've made. I won't go into all other things where we've had to intercept. I mean, and then of course afterwards it's always, Charles, come back in the window, come off the ledge, come on, it'll be okay, trust us.
Yeah. Just hang in there. You'll get through it.
Yeah.
So when you've basically never really written solo, at least never solo novels for publication.
Honestly, when I first got started in this business, I was writing tech manuals.
Okay.
And the high-tech manufacturer I was working for came to me one day and says, "Quick, can you do something for me about fiber optics and the signaling and the voice over this kind of distance?" And I wrote this, stuff that was like, very technical and it, very interesting from a geek standpoint. But that's probably the only time I've ever done anything like that, because I was in a hurry to get it done, because they called me at the last, at the 11th hour, that routine. Quick, we need some filler, and somebody sent your name and said you know how to write. I went, well, yeah, I mean that's what I do for customers, so why not? Mm-hmm. And so, but it's sometimes it's you need that extra set of eyes, the extra perspective, to be able to say, I don't see that, or I don't, can you help me understand what you're trying to say? And those are the embarrassing moments. Like, I thought I'd said it correctly. Well, no, I don't get it. Okay, maybe it's me. Maybe I need a little less of the fermented grape when I'm doing some of this stuff to be able to, make sure it's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I run it when I since I do so much of it myself, but I try to listen to the book. I have it read aloud to me by my computer a lot of the time before as part of the edit, right? So that's pretty handy. And then I follow along as it goes, right? I don't just listen to it. I follow along and see where I'm at, and then I can make the changes as I need to, right? Yeah. But
I've heard people say that too, and I haven't tried it. reading it out loud, they say that's probably one of the best ways to edit a book.
Yep.
Read it, and because, and I guess I've never really done it because we have a battery of people saying that'll it gets filtered through them.
Yeah.
And then of course the audio book when it comes out will that gives me that sanity check that says, okay, did this come across the way it was supposed to? And
right.
Usually that we've gotten such get to be good business partners with Derek Scholes. I've gotten emails from him saying, I can't do that this way. We need to change it. And here's why. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh yeah. This voice that you're going to use is going to give away the story. And, it was a piece that was cloaked inside the story itself, but the audio voice would have given away that factor. So we're like, oh, well, how do we fix this?
Yeah, you've either got to cheat with the sound of that voice or change it. Yeah, at that point.
Yeah. So, I have to agree with you. The reading out loud, extremely important because you'll hear stuff that's like, is that what I wrote? Wow, no kidding.
Exactly. It's almost like getting a second opinion, right? It's another opinion that you can toss on there, just what it actually sounds like, or what. And in my case, when the computer reads it to me, it's like, what would somebody who doesn't even know what a word is, right? This is just an automated voice reading voice program. Uh-huh. So all it does is I copy the text, it reads it to me, and the thing about that is that it's not particularly pleasant. Like, it's not a great sounding voice. It doesn't always pronounce everything right. And I write fantasy, so a lot of the time the words that the audio that will sound weirder, it will sound different to me than how I imagined them, because of course I made them up, so it doesn't know how to say them. but the funny part about that is I think that actually makes it better. That it works better for me because it gives me another perspective on how the name might sound or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So, have you done any work with some of the AI programs for audiobooks?
Oh no. I know some people who are really. I know some audio narrators and stuff, and I just find that AI voices, they're almost too problematic to me because they destroy a lot of people's chance at a good living at that point. There's some AI stuff that doesn't bother me as much, but that's one that's a little too much.
Yeah. We tried it. Amazon approached us and said, "Hey, this is a collection of short stories, mm-hmm. and they were different voices, and it's like, okay, sure, okay, let's go ahead and try it." I probably spent more hours fixing the junk that it mispronounced. So you can try it. Is it cheaper? Yeah, you get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. And even though it was free, I mean, I've got, that was probably the most expensive free exercise I've ever done. I mean,
yeah, for me, it was as far as audio goes, the most expensive free exercise I ever did was the one where I actually hired a narrator and I did a royalty share. But he was not a very professional. I mean, he was professional enough, but he wasn't a particularly fitting narrator for the story. And I didn't realize it until it was already done. And that story has earned some negative reviews, I think, because of the narrator. I don't know for sure because the ratings. I mean, but the audiobook did not do well, and it was just a novella, but it was one of my better stories at that point, the Mangrove Suite, mm-hmm. and then that's the only audiobook I've ever had produced for me. But it wasn't like a bad experience. I just don't have enough money to afford, what I need for like a big novel.
Oh yeah, they're not cheap. But
you need to have enough money to invest in it, and also reason to invest in it. Right, my books haven't taken off super well at this point. They're getting better. They're making some headway, but it's still pretty early. Even though for me, my career's 22 books in, and I'm still not doing super well. But I know how I bungled pretty much everything I bungled, and it was all critical moments. So I think that's why it happened. Like launching each series that I was hoping would take off, and I'm like, oh yeah, this about the first book kind of killed it before it even started, and so people didn't want to go through that. It was like that happened every time I launched a series for the last 8-10 years, something like that. However long I've been publishing.
Yeah, we're about equal with on the same footing, about 20 to 30 books, somewhere. And the short stories, I'll just let you know what we've done with some of the short stories was that we've taken some of the backstory material that didn't quite fit into some of the novels, the 70,000 novels, that 78,000 word novels, and then just okay, because we've had people say, where'd these people, where'd they go? What happened to them? Where'd they come from? That kind of question.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to give them that print time. But in the novel, but the short stories made sense. So we've had
no, I hear you. I hear you. Like the novel I'm writing right now is actually, I've had a similar process with that in some ways. I mean, because even though it's one novel and I'm only 50,000 words into it, only, it's currently, I plan for it to be a series, right? This is kind of this Egyptian inspired samurai story almost. Like it's weird, a combination of cultures, right, into this fantasy culture. But the thing is, there were a bunch of these characters that I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let's see what they were like. And I was trying to, I don't know, it's kind of a weird happenstance where I'm like, well, the promotions that are working for me require 3 titles to be on Amazon. So I put up a pre-order for the main book, which I believe passed the deadline. But I put up the pre-order for 2 short stories as well, and the short stories are all done now and they're out by the time this releases. They're both out, and they're both prequels basically about side characters that are, so it tells how these characters got to where they are in the main book, but is kind of but then I realized, like, oh, these characters don't really appear in the main book, and people are already reviewing the first short story and telling me that they love it, and I'm like, whoops, I guess I'll have to include them later on. They're going to have to come back and more important. They barely appear at all at this point. They're just kind of names,
Well, that's interesting. That press release that Mickey had sent you, our publicist, was on the short story with novella out of Poland that we turned into a screenplay.
Oh, right.
And the folks there I've shopped it for a couple of years now, so it's one of those projects that I have always going on. But it started off as a where did the Enigma the R group come from in the Enigma series? What was their history? And so it's like, because I got that question from a reader, and I'm like, well, that's a good question. Let's go back and do where these good guys came from. And so that's what the novella was all about. And so here's the 3 Polish patriots. They're appalled at their country being overrun by the Germans in 1939, and they want to do something about it. But the Wehrmacht has just flattened the country in less than 30 days. It was remarkable, lopsided battle. Anyway, we postulated that they conspired and stole an Enigma machine of the Germans, and their ambition was to get it to the Allies to be able to break the code. Well, they very cleverly copied it for their own purposes and became their own information dynasty. That was the R group, and that was the foundation of good guys for the Enigma series. That's where the Enigma, that word comes into play, and that's where that's where they get their moral compass from. Their fight, they have fought against the incredible odds, the bad guys of the 1930s and 40s. There's always some new bad guy popping up, and in our world, it's the technology is the weapon of choice. And so, no matter whatever you build in the tech world, there's always somebody who says, "Here's how I can exploit it. Here's ransomware. Here's how I can extort money and then use cryptocurrency for money laundering." Those are all interesting side activities for the characters that have to deal with and fight against the cyber thugs from the darknet.
Oh, that's awesome! That sounds like a fun series. Yeah, exciting. And so you wrapped that up at 12 books? Is this the trilogy?
Well, that was the 12 books of the Enigma series, and then of course that was the 3rd generation of the R group, and the 4th generation is in the Enigma heirs.
Okay.
And so you know how this works. I mean, the old guard has to at some point admit it's time for them to, put down the sword or pass the sword on to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always that angst about, did we train them enough? Did we teach them all that they needed to know to be successful and to stop the cyber threats, the bad guys?
Yeah.
You can't deliver every scenario, but you can teach the next generation to think, and that's where we like to examine as we're going through the threats, the competition, and the cyber thugs that they have to bring down.
So do you envision this as a trilogy? This set, or
yeah, this was going to be a trilogy, and that third book should be out. I got about half of it done. But the first quarter of next year, we figure like March, April.
Good timing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noticed now? I mean, just a bit of publishing kind of question here, but have you noticed there's whether or not there's a good time of year to publish versus a bad time of year to publish? Because I've heard mixed things about this. Like, what do you say?
Well, publishing is always there should be some sort of rhythm to it. There needs to be whatever you publish. Put in the back of it, you needs to be, here's what's coming next, and so here's the enticement. Okay, if somebody likes your book and they're like, okay, we're already thinking about the next installment in that series, and here's a taste for it. That helps. But for us, it's the spring and the fall.
Okay.
Release. We've got our tech thrillers in the springtime, and then the cozy mysteries in the fall. But we're branching out into stuff like children's books. That's one of the things that I wanted, and it was a story that I thought of when I was on a cruise this year, and I basically when I'm cruising, got nothing else to do. I'm just cranking on the next story. Ideas and thoughts that all came together, and had a lot of fun building that. So with any luck, we'll be able to get that out in time for the Christmas season. And that's October. Yeah, what I've always heard the logic, particularly among the big houses, was that October. If you're ready, you need to be ready for everything to hit, launch, and sparkle in October, because that's the stretch all the way down to the buying season for Christmas.
Okay.
About 40 to 60%. I forget which way it works. Is in that last quarter of the year is with the best buying season. And so that's also the most expensive advertising that you'll see. It's also the noisiest part of the year because everybody wants you to buy and take a look at their wares. So there's some people said, no, I don't want to have my product lost in that kind of torrent of releases. So they'll back down to something that's a little calmer and tamer. January, February, March timeframe, because there's less competition. But there's still people that hey, I read everything I got for Christmas. What else is there? And that's their logic, and that seems to work. So, a good pacing is probably the best advice I've ever gotten.
Okay.
But those are the benchmarks to keep in mind when you're putting stuff together. And when we do the audiobooks, those are usually like 60 days, maybe 80 days after the release of the hardback, and we do like a secondary release of the product. That helps do the pull through on the hardcover and ebook.
Oh, nice. Okay, so it's like it's an additional launch. Yeah, like you said. I mean, another product to put out there. Nice. Yeah. To put it crassly, of course. I mean, they're all books, but it's a story you're telling. But obviously, when you're selling stuff, you basically have three distinct products. You got the hardback, the ebook.
Well, I've been at we've been at shows where people come by and they're obviously they're readers. They're looking for something, and I'll quiz them. I said, "What do you want? What do you like to read?" So, I don't read anymore. I can't read. I don't have time to read. I'm stuck in the car. Yeah, I've been ordered back at the office. But I said, "Can you listen?" He goes, "I love listening to books," and so it's basically another media. that and that's the other way to be able to say, okay, well, if you can listen, put it on the audio system that you got in the car, and I chew through an hour or 2 hours worth of audios back and forth, and love doing it that way. So we learned early on that was the reason why we went into the audios, and we wanted to make sure they were good quality stuff. So it's an expensive proposition, but it's also you're investing in your in that product to make sure that the customers say, I can enjoy your stuff in that particular media or the other media or any media I want. That's what
absolutely.
We'd like to do.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, there's nothing I wouldn't want more at this point than to have some of my books in audio, other than just more sales in general. But having more books in audio would be really nice for me. But again, I need to get the funds together for that. What I guess. Kind of as a wrap up question, I've got to say, what does it look like you're working on going forward? I mean, you're almost done with this trilogy. What do you have any plans going with it for the next series? Or
we haven't got that far in our figuring yet.
Okay.
I've got the next cozy mystery penned in the back of my mind. That'll go out probably next August. I'll finish. We'll start on that one probably January, February timeframe. So because it takes about to be able to do a serious launch and get it out there correctly and do all the proper planning for it, you need 60 days easily to be able to schedule ads, take out AMS ads, or wherever you get the best traction, because a lot of times those ad spaces fill up before you get a chance to be able to get into them. So you can't be doing the marketing after it's done. That's
right.
That's one of those things was like at the hard lesson to learn, and we're still learning it because okay, we should have been doing this months earlier ago. Well, I'd rather write the stuff than figure out how to be able to get an AMS ad put together for it. I can do it, but I like doing the writing first. So
that's a healthy place to be, if you ask me. I mean, you gotta. If you don't write, you don't have a book. You don't have something to put up for ads to go to.
Well, and and having spent some time in my youth in a retail bookstore, it's always the same question: what do you got that's new? Now, if you're not cranking out new stuff, okay, that's fine. That kind of that subliminal message of that's all I'm doing. I'm not going to be a writer anymore. I don't want to. I don't want you to think that. I don't want to.
I don't want to think that either about myself.
Yeah, because this is what I like doing. I mean, this is we've got a short story we're polishing, trying to get it, just the way for science fiction. We've got playing with the AI graphics to be able to make this this coloring book and children's book exactly the way I want. So those are some of that is like, okay, here's where I can use that, and here's what it doesn't fit. I'm not going to use that technology. I want to know how it is. That's just the kind of propeller head that I have been over my life, and my co-writer is the same way. He's like, okay, how do we use this? But have it write for us? Nope. We're not going to write for it.
Well, I got to say that's a good decision, because as much as people will complain about AI slop in all forms, I think the worst thing it does is write. That's the thing that ChatGPT is actually the worst at, if you ask me, because I've read books, I've been reading books to review occasionally now. And I read an AI book as my first. I'm not going to tell people the title, but it was an AI written novel.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a novel. Let me tell you that. It's kind of a catch-22, because there was nothing to it that made it a novel. It was just it was just 60,000 words of garbage.
And that's what I see. I've what I've poked at. And I've played with probably all of them, just to see what they do. And some of them are like, no, this is somebody's side hustle, and I'm like, no, no, thank you.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a line I won't cross as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Charles, thanks for being on the show. It goes quick, doesn't it?
It does. We're sitting there chatting, having a good time, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, we need to push him off the air. All right.
No, it's not. No big rush. But I wanted to make sure people you told people the titles of those books once again, and where they can find you online.
Yeah. So the Enigma series. There's 12 books in that. There's the Enigma Airs series. There's 2 books in that already out. The third one planned. The Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles. Audibles for most of the books we have, and some very nice short stories, videos that we've have gotten together, and you can find all of those links on our website, which is enigmaseries.com. Also, Enigma Book Series. Both of those designations will get you to our website, and you can find a ton of neat stuff, even some free things on that you might find interesting for security for yourselves.
Thank you so much for being on, Charles. That was a lot of fun. And as for this podcast, you can find us just at Libsyn right now. For some reason, the page on the website will not update. I need to work that out, or maybe get a different website, frankly. But the whole situation has been a little tough on that. But at least the page where I update book covers, you can find all my books on my website, timneedawriter.com. It's spelled like the phrase you'd say, need a writer? Yeah. My name, needawriter.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. And I will talk to you again soon.